Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey folks, we are back. It's Inside Real Estate. Mike Kruizinga, InsideRealEstateRadio.com is the website. InsideRealEstateRadio.com is the website. Time to do a little mortgage talk. We got Terri Waggoner right here. Her website, of course, is TerriWaggoner.com over at Supreme Lending. How we doing, Terri?
I'm good. How are you, Mike?
I'm good. Good to see you.
Good.
So let's get some mortgage talk going today and real estate talk. What's going on today?
Well, today I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about my fabulous processing team. Customers that don't do this on a daily, weekly, even a yearly basis don't really understand or realize how important it is to have such an outstanding processing team and backup team behind you to back up what we talk about here on the radio.
Right.
So I kind of want to talk about them for just a little bit. And any real estate agents that are listening to us, more better than anyone. If you're working with a lender that doesn't know what they're doing, their processing team isn't on top of things, you know how difficult it can make the process.
Yeah. If you are a good real estate agent out there, then you know you've had lenders kill your deals before.
Exactly.
And not that there's not a gazillion ways your deal can be killed, as a realtor.
That's right.
But one of the main ways is by a bad lender, something going on with the lender for sure.
Right. So we start out with knowing our product. That's important.
Helps.
That's step number one. We have to make sure that we put it in a product that we know is going to work.
Yeah.
But then beyond that, we get the executed contract, and here we go. We're rolling. So now what happens? So, people just think they're just sending us this endless list of documents that we have to have that we request. Well, we actually do something with those documents. We're not just collecting them
for the fun of it.
Yeah, because we need them. So the first person in my processing team, Megan, she does my setup. So what does that mean? So when I tell you that your file's being set up, that means that she is ordering everything that's going to be needed on your file. And there's a lot that's needed on your file. We're going to order the verifications for the property address to make sure that it's a real property address. We're going to order the title work through the title company that's selected on the contract. We're going to order the appraisal. We send you the link to pay for that ahead of time, but we need to get that ordered. We're going to order verification of employments. We want to make sure that you actually work where you told us that you worked. and we're looking for job times, income. We have to verify all of that. And that becomes a little cumbersome to our processing department if you've not had the same job for the last 2 years. If you've had multiple jobs, we have to do employment verifications for each one of those employers. So that can get a little time consuming. We have to order your tax transcripts or your W-2s if you don't have those in your possession. We have to order those. We order your insurance. We order your tax transcripts. If you don't happen to have your tax transcripts, we can order those as well. So after Megan gets done with it, then it goes to Dulce in my office. She is a junior processor, and she is double checking the file, triple checking the file to make sure that everything's there so that when it goes to Heather, our processor, our senior processor, that she has everything that she needs to move forward with the file. So she's going to send out a welcome email telling you, hello, hey, everybody, I'm Dulce, and here's what I'm going to do for you. She's going to send out updates to you. And she's going to give you a list of those updates that she's going to provide to you throughout the process. So in other words, when you start the process with us, you're going to hear from us multiple times throughout the process. The buyers are, the sellers aren't, but their seller's agent is. And that is incredibly powerful, I believe, because as a seller's agent, you probably don't get a whole lot of updates other than, hey, we're ready to close. Did you schedule closing yet?
Right.
But we're going to keep you updated throughout the entire process so that you know that things are moving along and you don't have to wonder where we are with the file. So we're going to update the buyer, the buyer's agent, title companies, and the seller's agent. Going to let them know all where we are. Then if it's always good to have multiple eyes on the file. So I'm going to review it before I turn it in. Megan's going to order everything. Dulce's going to look at it again. Did Terri miss anything? Are we missing that page 6 of the 6-page bank statement? because it's intentionally left blank. We have to have that too. So she's going to send you an email requesting anything that's missing there on her end. Then when she has the file complete enough, she's going to give it to Heather. Heather's going to give it the once over again. She's then going to email you and let you know what we're missing, if we're missing anything, so that our whole purpose is to have as complete of a file as possible, because the step after Heather is to go into the underwriter. And that's the person who's going to completely underwrite the full file and give us what we call our initial approval. That's a conditional approval. It's going to come back to us with some conditions. Our goal each time we turn a file in is to turn in a file that doesn't have any conditions on it that we have to go back to the buyer for. And that happens a lot where we have everything up front. We don't have to bug the borrower again, because there's nothing worse than, oh, by the way, I forgot we needed this. And they're like, well, why didn't you ask for that up front? I don't have that, or I can't get that, or I can't get my hands on it till next week or whatever. And here we are last minute. So that's part of the reason why we ask for all of that up front. We don't like surprises at the end of the process. And how bad is it then when we do have surprises at the end?
Oh, yeah. It's brutal. And the thing is, like, when you do find something that comes up, trying to get the buyer to locate the document, et cetera, there's more delays that occur with that, which is just a pain in the butt. Delays closing,
So if we can ask for something up front, and we do this a lot, we don't hold up your file because you can't find that one document. We tell you we're going to move forward, but you keep looking for that. So that's a valuable tool that we ask for that up front because we know we're going to need it.
Right.
So by the time that it's gone through the system and we have our conditional underwriting approval back, and it's asking for that one document, you've had a week or so to look for it. As opposed to, hey, I need for you to look for this and I need it before I get here at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Okay. So that's really important. And so we try to stay ahead of all of that, any requests that we know is coming down the line. So then once Heather gathers everything that she needs, she's going to submit it into underwriting. We're going to get that conditional approval back. And if there is anything that we've missed, that's when we're going to follow up with the borrower and request any of those missing items. Most of the time, like I said, we've already requested that, and it's not a surprise to the borrower that we need it.
Right.
So then she's going to gather all that last few little documents. We're going to send it back into underwriting, and that's when the underwriter is going to review those conditions and sign off and give us what we call our elusive clear to close. You want to hear those words.
Those are the words we like.
Clear to close, because that means that we can schedule everything and close on your loan. We also send out the closing disclosure. That's a document that you'll become familiar with when you're buying a house as well. That's really important in legislation we have out right now. You are required to receive that closing disclosure several days before you actually close on the loan. So we can send that out even before we get the clear to close and get your signature on that while we're working on the clear to close, so that doesn't delay us. Some of the bigger banks, they're going to wait till they get the clear to close. Then they're going to mail you that document. So it could add an additional 10 days to your closing, where we try to make it coincide while we're processing the rest of your file.
Right.
So,
yeah, there's a lot of hurdles. And, as people are listening to this, they're like, oh, my God, this is quite the process. And
right.
It's good you're explaining it to it, because and here's what my experience has been working with other lenders is, the file goes into these different places that you're describing with
right.
your own internal organization, but we never hear about it, so we don't know where the file is, what step it's in. We don't know who's going to let it fall through the cracks,
right.
Because most of the time with other lenders, so many times the file falls through the cracks. Somebody hasn't picked it back up yet, or it's at the tail end of their stack. They haven't gotten to it yet. We don't know where it's at, but I'll say this, with Supreme and with Terri's team, everybody in the process, from the buyer, like you said, to the seller's agent, knows exactly where the file is, exactly what's going on. And you're right, it's so important for the seller's agent to know that hey, things are moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I've been on the seller's side where all of a sudden, you know, we're a few days before closing, you know, and a problem comes up that we didn't know about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even though on the seller's side, you know, I'm in touch with the buyer's agent, you know, every week or two, you know, but sometimes they don't know. And so when the lender kind of keeps us in the dark or the buyer's agent's not up to speed, the seller's agent gets further left in the dark. And it's most important on the seller's side because your client, as the seller, is making plans to move out.
Right.
Or has moved out already.
Right. They're already wanting to close on what they're buying.
Exactly.
Right.
And, you know, how would you like to give the news to your client who's moved into a new place already and they're waiting for their other house to sell and say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, by the way, deal's delayed or the deal went south and you got to put the house back on the market? That's not news that you want to give,
Right.
you know, to your seller client. And so the fact that you guys communicate to everybody all along the way is hugely important, but also just you guys know where the file is at all times
Mm-hmm.
and you're making sure everybody knows about it. This is extremely important, folks, because there's so many ways for your file, you know, as a buyer, as a borrower, for something to happen with it. And there's so many things that need to be done, so many steps that have to be taken, you know, whether it's regulations, just standard, you know, lending practices, whatever the case may be. There's a lot of hoops that the borrower, you know, and the lender have to jump through.
Right.
You know, but you guys have it down to a fine science.
Well, I just wanted to give stars, gold stars, to my processing department today because they really they excel at what they do, and they make it where it seems seamless to the buyer, and that is our goal. There is a lot of paper moving around. There's a lot of decisions being made on your file, but you as the buyer, we want to make it seem seamless.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, folks, hey, don't forget, TerriWaggoner.com is the website. TerriWaggoner.com is the website. Check it out. Look over the information. You can actually put in an application right there on Terri's website. But, of course, the big thing is her phone number. It's right there. Give her a call. She'll take care of you. Trust me, you want to spend some time on the phone with Terri, figure out what's best for you, what your situation is, and she'll get you taken care of. TerriWaggoner.com. Folks, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to be right back.